As evacuations continue, hundreds of Bahamians hoping to flee the devastation were told to get off a ferry headed to the United States.
So please, all passengers that don't have U.S. visa, please proceed to disembark.
So this video was taken aboard a ferry leaving the Bahamas. It was posted to social media by a reporter for CNN affiliate WSVN. The announcement, as you can hear there, told evacuees traveling to the U.S. without a visa to disembark. One woman told a reporter that as many as 130 people left the ferry, including families with children. Now, on its website, U.S. Customs and Border Protection says visas are not required for Bahamian residents flying to the United States if they also meet other criteria like a passport and no criminal record. Problem is, the airports in Freeport and Grand Bahama Island, the airport's simply been destroyed, so many people have to take a boat. Florida lawmakers have been pressing President Trump to waive the visa requirements for evacuees.
The agency leading U.S. relief efforts in the Bahamas describes what they're seeing as looking like, quote, nuclear bombs were dropped. So far, about $4 million in U.S. international aid has been announced just for the basics, like food and water and shelter. So the death toll now stands at 45, but of course that is expected to rise.
Britain's Conservative Party is arguably the most successful political party of the modern age. The Tories, as they are also known, have ruled Britain for nearly 60 of the 90 years since 1929, the country's first election with universal adult suffrage. But this week, we watched the beginning of the end of the Conservative Party, at least as we have known it. In the post-World War II era, the Tories were defined by an advocacy of free markets and traditional values, a combination that was brought to its climax in the person of Margaret Thatcher, the Tories' most effective prime minister since Winston Churchill. This free market orientation made sense. The second half of the 20th century was dominated by one big issue: the clash between communism and capitalism. Throughout the world, parties aligned themselves on a left-right spectrum that related to that central issue, the role of the state in economics. In America in the 1950s and 60s, for example, the Democrats included Northern progressives and Southern segregationists, but they all agreed on the need for an interventionist state. We are now living in a new ideological era, one defined by an open-close divide between people comfortable in a world of greater openness in trade, technology, and migration, and those who want more barriers, protections, restraints. You can see the breakdown of the old order by looking back at Britain's last 5 prime ministers, 2 from the Labour Party, 3 from the Tories. All were in favor of Britain staying in the European Union, including Theresa May originally. By contrast, Boris Johnson is remaking the Tories into the party of Brexit, and this week expelled 21 Conservative members of Parliament, including very senior figures who disagreed with the new party line. Of course, not every situation falls neatly on the open-close spectrum. Many of the leading Brexiteers are staunch free marketeers, and they insist they want a global Britain. It's odd, however, to be in favor of free trade and yet insist that Britain crash out of the EU, one of the world's largest free trade areas and Britain's largest trading partner. But more significant is the fact that whatever the views of the new Tory leaders, the public that voted for Brexit and would presumably support what would essentially be a new Tory Brexit party largely embrace a closed ideology. They're suspicious of foreigners, resentful of the new cosmopolitan Britain that they see in London and the country's other big cities. America, of course, has a similar constituency. While many of the Republican leaders who support Trump might well be free marketeers, his base is largely animated by the same suspicions and passions that motivated the Brexit voters. The most likely future for the Republican Party is one that conforms with its voters' preferences for limits on trade and immigration, and even greater hostility toward big technology companies. In Britain, there's confusion on the other side of the aisle as well. The Labour Party has moved leftward and still contains elements that are skeptical about the European Union. Over time, Labour will probably move more robustly in a pro-Europe direction, and with the Liberal Democrats, try to create a new, open governing majority. In America, the Democrats have to resolve similar differences, mostly around trade, an issue on which many Democrats are actually as protectionist as Donald Trump. But what is happening now in Britain is a telltale sign. one of the world's most enduring political parties is cracking. It's yet another reminder that we are living in an age of political revolutions. For more, go to cnn.com/Fareed and read my Washington Post column this week.